Hi everyone, Miss Debbie here. I have two stories for you this evening for your second week in March. One is a leprechaun story, and the other is kind of a snow into spring story, which is where we are now. The month of March is very unpredictable. It is said that it comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. In other words, it's still winter when March begins and it's windy and cold, but there is a hint of spring in the air. So by the time the end of March comes and it's April, it's getting very warm and pleasant, and the grass may be turning green. And the first flowers that come up would be snowdrops or crocuses. And so our first book has to do with that. Crow and Snow. And this is written by Robert Broder and Olivier Tallec. Crow and Snow. I just love this story. Is it a new book? Not really. This is, let's see, published by Simon and Schuster Books for Young Readers. And here's a farmer. He's carrying a scarecrow home to put in his field. Now, the purpose of a scarecrow, which you may know, is to scare away the crows. To scare the birds away because it looks like a person, and to scare the birds away from eating the seeds that are planted or even the tender crops that are beginning to grow. Is he doing a good job of scaring the crows? No, not really. He's smiling, and the crows are his friends. Sweet. One spring, a farmer built a scarecrow. Crow tried to say hello to the tractor as it passed. Hello, said Crow. Look at all that land that the tractor has to crunch up. Hello, said the crow, but the tractor never said hello back. In the middle of the summer, the sun would beat down. Perhaps it will rain today, thought Crow, and sometimes it did. Right? Doesn't it get very hot in the summer? If you look closely, it's corn growing in the field. Winter came, the corn was gone, and Crow didn't see much of the farmer. It was windy and gray, and Crow just stood there. Ugh. And then it started snowing. The farmer's children ran outside and rolled the snow into an enormous ball. They rolled another ball until they had built a snowman right next to Crow. Have you built a snowman? It's hard to roll those big balls and to lift it on top of the other and make a snowman. Crow and the snowman stood side by side. Crow wondered if he should say something. Hello, said Crow. Hello, said Snow. It's nice to have someone out in this field with me, said Crow. It certainly is a nice field, said Snow. Oh, there's a little crow sitting on top of Crow's hat. Snow blankets the fields. Crow tried to think of something to say. I like your scarf, said Crow. Thank you, said Snow. I like your hat. Will you be staying a while? Asked Crow. I'm not sure, said Snow. Maybe. And Crow and Snow stood side by side. And there they stood, even as the snow got a little bit deeper. Oh, you can see how deep the snow is. It's coming right up the fence posts. And there's a little crow on one of the fence posts. They must live in a part of the country that gets a lot of snow. Well, now the days became warmer. Are you leaving? Asked Crow. It seems that way, said Snow. Will you come back? Asked Crow. I'm not sure, said Snow. Maybe. Well, I certainly have enjoyed your company, said Crow. But Snow had already gone. Oh boy. It's just melting away. So sad. All through the spring, Crow stood tall and alone in the field. The farmer plowed, planted, and watered. The tractor drove by without saying hello. Crow couldn't help thinking about Snow. Another harvest went by, and it started snowing again. Green fields, tilled and harvested fields, and then it started snowing. Why, hello, said Crow. It's nice to see you again. Yes, indeed, said Snow. Nice to see you again. You look a bit different, said Crow. You look about the same, said Snow. And the two friends stood side by side. These are the farmer's kids. They're walking away. They built their snowman and now they walked away. One bitterly cold day, a blizzard covered Crow and Snow in a blanket of white. I like it under here, said Crow. Me too, said Snow. It's like our own little home. Crow was happy until the days became warmer. Uh-oh, snow's melting. Snow, said Crow. Yes, said Snow. I will miss you, said Crow. I will miss you too, said Snow. And he was gone. As the seasons passed, the tractor and the corn came and went, and the children grew older. And every winter Snow would return and stand next to Crow. One winter it snowed so much, the children built a second snowman. Who is that? Asked Crow. I'm not sure, said Snow. It sure does feel crowded out here, said Crow. It certainly does, agreed Snow. The visitor did not stay long. And as the sun rose higher in the sky, neither did Snow. When Snow returns, thought Crow, I will tell him how I feel. But many years passed where the children didn't come out to play, so Crow never saw Snow. Then one winter, new children came and rolled the snow into an enormous ball. New children. Poor lonely Crow. Welcome back, said Crow excitedly. It's good to be back, said Snow. I see you have a new hat. Yes, said Crow. The last one blew away. Well, I like it, said Snow. Crow wondered if he could say what he was feeling. One night, a strong wind came bursting across the field and knocked Crow over. Oh boy, there he goes, flying away in the wind. You caught me, said Crow. It's the least I can do, said Snow. It was quiet. Snow, said Crow. Yes, said Snow. I love you, said Crow. Oh. I love you too, said Snow. Crow and Snow stood side by side. They were very happy. It makes you happy to tell someone that you love them and that they can tell you the same thing. I love this book. What a great little story. Crow and Snow. Come to the library and borrow it, and you could look at the pictures by yourself. Our second book, The Leprechaun's Gold. So what is the myth about the leprechaun? If you catch a leprechaun and hold him by the toe, he has to show you where he buried his pot of gold. And the legend goes that it's at the end of the rainbow. Could you ever find the end of the rainbow? You don't know. The Leprechaun's Gold by Pamela, Duncan Edwards, and illustrated by Henry Cole. Published by Catherine Tegan Books, an imprint of HarperCollins. Look at all the clover. Can you spy a 4-leaf clover in there? She's supposed to be lucky. Maybe. Long ago, before even your great-great-grandfather was born, there lived in a small village in Ireland a man known to all as Old Pat. Old Pat was a harpist, and a good one at that. Many a wedding was made the merrier by Old Pat's harp. There's Old Pat, loving to play his harp. And here's the wedding, the feast, and the happy couple. So fun, weddings in the spring. In the same village dwelled young Tom. Tom had learned his own harp playing from Pat's teaching, but now Tom thought himself a better harpist than Old Pat. He was much given to boasting and bragging, and charging the villagers great amounts of silver for his skills. Old Pat was humble and willing to play his music for free for those he knew had not the means to pay. "Foolish old man," scoffed young Tom. "What use is a gift if not to make you rich?" Old Pat replied, "I am rich in friends, and that is enough." It is to be supposed that life would have continued along its way for Old Pat and young Tom had they not seen the announcement. And the announcement said, "By order of the king, harping contest to choose the finest harpist in Ireland at the royal palace. All may enter." To be known as the best harpist in Ireland would be an honor indeed, said Old Pat. "Don't waste your time, old man," sneered Tom. "It's a young man like myself they'll be wanting." But Pat shook his head and gathered his few meager possessions for the journey. "Aha," thought young Tom, "if we travel together, he's sure to offer me a bite of his food, and that would save me a penny or two." How selfish. And there's the old man getting his things ready. And so it was that on this night the two sat together by their fire of twigs. They were footsore and weary from walking the many miles toward the royal palace. As he listened to Pat practicing for the contest, a sudden thought flashed through young Tom's mind. I could lose to this ridiculous old man. So as old Pat turned his head for a second, the wicked boy quickly snapped a string on Pat's harp and pushed his own spare string deep inside his bag. "I'm sorry for your trouble," he said to old Pat, "but I have no string to lend you, for I might need it myself." Old Pat sighed. He had no money to buy a new string. The harping contest was as good as lost. Ooh. Nobody likes a cheater, I'll say. Then suddenly through the darkness came a cry. "Help!" The two men shivered, for they knew tales of tricks played on poor travelers by villain leprechauns. "Surely 'tis the little people that's after us," whispered young Tom. But as the voice rose to a wail, "Help!" Old Pat's kindness of heart proved stronger than his fear of leprechaun tricks. "We must find out who's in trouble," he cried to Tom. "Not I," declared young Tom. "I'll have nothing to do with it. I'll not take the risk of missing the contest." He turned his back to the voice and covered his ears. On shaking legs, old Pat walked toward the sound of the voice. In a clearing, he saw a tiny man with his foot down a rabbit hole. "Help me, sir," cried the little man. "I took off my shoes to rest my feet, and a rabbit has taken hold of my big toe. Help me." From deep in the burrow came the shrill laugh of the rabbit. "Let go, you rogue," the little man yelled down the hole. "I'll have you for dinner, you pesky bag of flea-ridden fur." There's a lot of trickery and mean people and rabbits around here. I hope your world isn't full of mean rabbits and mean people. "I'll soon fix that scoundrel," thought old Pat. He bent down and barked piercingly as a fox might in the night. The rabbit let out a scream of fright, and out popped the little man's toe. Foxes do bark. "Thank you," cried the leprechaun, for a leprechaun he was. "Come," said Pat, trying not to laugh, for a funnier sight he thought never to see. "I've not much to offer, but what I have you're welcome to share." Old Pat led the leprechaun back to the fire. "I see your fellow traveler has up and gone," said the leprechaun. "A brave fellow indeed he proved to be. But I thank you kindly for your help. I'd like to repay you." "I'll be needing no payment," answered old Pat. He picked up his harp and began to play a soft tune to soothe the little man. Have you ever heard a harp play? It's very lovely. "You play well," said the leprechaun, "but I'm thinking your harp is not in a good way." "I have a broken string," answered old Pat sadly. "I'm on my way to the harping contest at the royal palace, but I'll not win now. I have no money to buy a new string." "Ah," declared the leprechaun sharply, "so it's the gold you'll be wanting." "No, indeed," cried old Pat, mighty alarmed. He knew terrible things happened to those who searched for crocks of leprechaun gold. "Ah, but yes, I think it's so," answered the leprechaun firmly. Suddenly, old Pat's eyes would not stop from closing. With a sigh, he fell asleep. The leprechaun blew a silvery note on his whistle, and out of the forest came a band of little men, each carrying a bag. "He wants the gold," said the leprechaun as he told the tale of old Pat. "You know what to do." The little men nodded solemnly as they clicked open their bags. What do you call a tribe of leprechauns anyway? I don't know. I'll have to look that up. When old Pat awakened the next morning, he looked around in fright, but the leprechaun had gone. "It's a lucky escape I've had," cried Pat as he picked up his harp case and set off for the royal palace. Look at the beautiful green land and hills of Ireland. Oh my gosh, and there he goes trekking across the meadow. Oh, to the palace. I've never seen a palace like that in Ireland. As old Pat reached the courtyard, young Tom took the stage looking mighty pleased and confident. He began to play a sweet tune, but, as if bewitched, the strings on his harp began to break. One by one they twanged and twitched and twirled in the air until all lay dangling. And here he is, starting off. I think I'm the best harpist. And then all the strings are broken. Young Tom gazed at his harp in horror, but then he knew. Leprechauns, he muttered as he hung his head and shuffled from the stage. Now it was old Pat's turn. With sadness in his heart, the old man reached for his harp. Then his eyes widened, for there, inside his bag, lay a glittering golden harp. The leprechaun's gold, gasped old Pat. He lifted the golden harp and began to play. He played the merriest music ever heard, so wonderful that the wind itself stopped to listen. A wild tune it was, which filled the people's hearts with joy and their lips with laughter. As the magic seized their feet, the people began to dance, and soon the courtyard was filled with a dancing, singing, and laughing crowd. The other harpists knew now that this was Pat's day and danced along with the people. Even young Tom, who had learned a hard lesson, found generosity growing in his heart. While the final note faded away, the king rose from his throne and beckoned to Pat. "Old man," said the king, "the prize is yours. Never have I heard such music. From now on, you will play always for me and my people. You are awarded the title Royal Harpist of Ireland." And from the nearby forest came the tinkling sound of a little leprechaun laughing. Ooh. And the author says there are 16 four-leaf clovers in this book. Can you find them all? And guess what? The leprechaun is wearing one of them. So check this book out from your library and see for yourself. The end. I'm thinking in the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, the giant played a harp of gold. So now I'm going to have to find that book. Stay tuned. Maybe we'll read it next time. But bye for now.